Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I am your host, Eric Triple E. Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR, or maybe from some of these other Locked On shows that we do, but the 49ers got a big matchup against the Panthers in primetime spot on Monday Night Football. This much, banged up defense for the 49ers. Can they stop Rico Dowdle and this Panthers keep pounding rushing attack?
Hey everyone, this is Dwayne Boyd, four-time Super Bowl champion with the San Francisco 49ers. And talking about primetime, can Brock Purdy produce in primetime? Can they keep it going from last week's show that he put on in Arizona? Because the team is going to need it because the defense is banged up and crawling and almost ready to wave the white flag, but we can't let that happen.
Hey everybody, Brian Peacock here, Locked On 49ers and the NFL Six Pack Show here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Speaking of defense and defending, Bryce Young, red hot, the juggernaut that is Bryce Young, 400 yards passing, coming off the best game of his career. What the 49ers have to do to stop the pass game of those Carolina Panthers, and is Bryce Young for real?
49ers go Panther hunting on Monday Night Football, and the 49ers Squad Show starts right now.
To all the faithful, it's the 49ers Squad. Everything San Francisco 49ers every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from Levi'S Stadium. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. For those faithful to the Bay, the 49ers Squad Show starts now.
What's up, everybody? Thanks so much for tuning in to another edition of the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Shout out all our everydayers tuning into all of our episodes. If you aren't subscribed, what are you doing, first of all? Second of all, make sure you subscribe right now on the YouTube channel, wherever you're getting your podcast. Every media platform, you should be subscribed. And thanks to FanDuel for sponsoring today's show. Right now, new customers can get $5 in bonus bets if your bet wins. You'll get 300, or excuse me. Wow, I completely messed that one up. Let's start that one over. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your $5 bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. There we go. That one was a little bit better. But guys, the 49ers, the defense is going to need to be better, just like Triple E is going to need to be better on the intro reads there when they face the Panthers, because they were not very good against the Cardinals and gave up a NFL record number of completions to Jacoby Brissett in that win. And you got a Panthers offense that, dare I say, is looking a little potent right now. And Bryce Young, as Brian said in the lead, playing his best football of his NFL career right now. And Rico Dowdle looks like a dude in the backfield for the Panthers. Has completely stolen that job from Chuba Hubbard. So let's start there. Let's start with the defense against the 49ers defense taking on the Carolina Panthers offense. Dwayne, how are the 49ers going to be able to stop this Panthers offense that seems to be a little bit left-handed, as we were talking about just before we got going here?
Well, it's one thing that they're going to have to do is pressure Bryce Young. And right now, you're looking at Bryce Young has a bad ankle, so maybe they can force him. And like we was talking earlier, they're a left-handed team. They run the ball to the left, they throw the ball to the left. They very seldom ever attack the right side. So the thing that you want to do is force him to go where he's not comfortable, because it looks like from the stats where he likes to go with the ball, he likes to go to his offensive left. So I would make him very uncomfortable. I would make him have to move and work that right side. And they got some receivers. What's that? T-Mac. He's got 54 receptions for 748 yards, and that's the number one guy. So what do we do against him? Do we put our best guy on him, or do we, as Dion say, put a hat on his head, boss?
Yeah, T-Mac has been pretty much the only guy in the Panthers passing game this year. He's got 748 receiving yards and 54 receptions. The next guy for the Panthers to watch out for would be Xavier Legette, who I think is one of the most entertaining guys in all of football to listen to when he goes on his ramblings about like when I think of him, I think about that video of him explaining how he loves to eat raccoons and how he would go hunting for raccoons down in the South. Pretty interesting guy. If you don't know Xavier Legette, you should get to know him. But he has not been very effective for this Panthers offense. Only 24 receptions on 46 targets and only 264 receiving yards through 9 games. So really, it's McMillan and Rico Dowdle in the rush game. And obviously, Bryce Young, who's coming off his best game of his career. Brian, how are the 49ers going to be able to slow down Bryce Young? I mean, they have these problems with these mobile quarterbacks that we've seen throughout the years. And I mean, I know people might look at the Panthers and look at this offense and say the 49ers should handedly win this one. But I'm not really getting that feeling right now.
I don't think we have to worry about necessarily another 400-yard passing game from Bryce Young, because overwhelmingly throughout his career, he's shown us that he's not that guy. But it is interesting that he's coming off his by far best career game. In fact, I think his yardage total from week 11 was as big as his last 3 games combined. I mean, it was all the ground game for the Carolina Panthers this year, even when they were winning football games. So that was kind of a shocker there. And you're right. General McMillan is the real deal. He wins on the outside. They move him around, put him in the slot. He can run all the routes. He's great at the catch point. He's a phenomenal football player. He's going to be really good for a long time. And I'm a little skeptical about the performance from Bryce Young last week, but the 49ers have shown that as banged up as they are on defense, they are susceptible in the pass game. And you mentioned the pass rush, Dwayne. I don't know where it's going to come from either side. These are the 2 worst pass rushing teams in the NFL right now. So at least the 49ers have that going for them, that they're not going to see a heavy pass rush likely from the other side. Rookie Nick Scorton might be the best defensive end in this football game, with the 49ers without both of their starters. Bryce Huff, is the guy that can give the 49ers a little bit of juice and create by himself on the 49ers front. But this is 31 and 32 in pressure rates in the NFL going against each other here. So I think the best thing you can do is put the team in a deeper third down situation. And so if the 49ers are having trouble stopping the run and keeping Rico Dowdle in check, and you're giving Bryce Young easier third down layups, I think that's going to be a problem for the 49ers defense, because depending on what the scoreboard looks like, one thing Robert Saleh was able to do last week is play a very soft bend, don't break style of defense, because the scoreboard allowed it. Now, if the scoreboard does not allow you to do that this week, you might have to play things a little bit tighter. And I don't necessarily think that Bryce Young strikes fear into a defense, but he did show that he could do a little something and facilitate a passing offense last week. So the 49ers do have their work cut out for him, in a team that might be a little bit better than we expected. That's covered a lot of spreads so far this year.
Yeah, I have. I will say I have won quite a bit of money actually betting on the Panthers to cover some spreads this year, and this is a team that's punched above its weight for sure. I mean, they beat the Packers just a couple weeks ago outright, 16-13, and their defense has more or less showed up most games this year. The one thing I do want to point out about Bryce Young, you said you're not completely convinced he's going to be able to replicate that performance. Neither am I, and I don't think anybody else should be thinking that he's going to throw for 300 yards. Throughout all the games that he's played this season, he's only passed over 200 yards twice this season. Once came against the Arizona Cardinals in week 2 on September 14th. That was a loss where he tossed 55 pass attempts for 328 yards on 35 completions. And again, he did throw for that 448 yards last week against the Falcons. Took him 45 pass attempts to do that as well. So game script wise, I think if he gets into a mode where he has to throw a lot, that's going to benefit the 49ers. That's not the way that the Panthers want to play. They want to, their motto, keep pounding. It's been that same motto since Jonathan Stewart was the leading running back there. And they're going to try and do that with Rico Dowdle, who has been having a hell of a season. I mean, I know Dwayne loves talking about former Cowboys and giving them some credit, but we gotta talk about Rico Dowdle, because this guy has been really hard for people to slow down, and he's had a very, very good year so far. 833 rushing yards on 168 attempts, 5 rushing touchdowns. That's good enough for a 5 yard per carry average. This guy's the real deal, and despite his mixed results in Dallas, I think it's safe to say he's found a pretty solid spot there in Carolina. He's completely taken that job from Chuba Hubbard. So you're going to need to key in on Rico Dowdle. I think he's the number one guy that you got to slow down on this Panthers rushing attack. Otherwise, it's going to be a long day for the 49ers defense, which has shown that they are not the most stalwart group as of late. Dwayne, how do you think the 49ers should approach attacking the run game of the Carolina Panthers in this one?
Well, I'm looking at how the head coach is going to call this game, okay? Because David, he was in Tampa Bay, and what did Tampa Bay do? They ran the ball when he was down there, and he came out of the Seahawk background, and what did they do when he was with Seattle was they had Marshawn Lynch. Okay, and he's going to look at it like that. And he's one of those coaches that he sees the game as, hey, we're going to run the ball and keep the 49ers offense off the field. We're going to play ball control, and we're going to take it from there. But the 49ers, I would almost come out with a 5-man defensive front, okay, and play them like that. Because guess what? They don't have no linebackers, right? So if they come out with a 5-man front, and that's something that's different. And with what you see with what they run, that gives the 49ers a better chance of stopping the run and putting pressure on the quarterback. But do they have enough defensive linemen to line up 5 guys across the board? If they bring up the guy that we've been talking about all this time, but hey, right?
I don't know why Valdez is not on this.
I don't know neither. And I think he'll help them quite a bit if he was on the roster. And going back to what I said earlier, I would run a 5-man front. I would put 5 guys down and say, "Come on, David, let's bring it."
I am intrigued by a 5-man front because I do think the 49ers have quite a few guys that would fit that mold. You know, Bryce Huff is sort of a stand-up outside backer, rusher type. Nick Bosa is the one that fits the least, but he's not in the lineup right now for the 49ers because he's such a true, every down defensive end. But he could do some 5-man line stuff as a sort of an outside backer, quote unquote outside backer, when it's going to be a 4-man line on third downs anyways. But CJ West, I think he's a nose perfect, right? And then
right, yeah.
Alfred Collins is almost too big on the interior at times. And I think he would fit awesome as that 5 technique, and he'll be able to utilize his strength and also that length that he has moved away from the center a little bit more. And I still don't know what kind of player Alfred Collins is going to be, but he's a huge key in this game. He's a huge key down the stretch for the 49ers. And obviously they spent a top 50 pick on Alfred Collins. Is he going to develop a pass rush? Can he play more consistent? Can he show that pad level? Because there are times where he makes a wow play. Then there's other times when he's able to get moved out of there. Very similarly so far to the guy that I compared him to when they drafted him to, and he's kind of played very similar, and that was Javon Kinlaw. And so almost too tall at times the way they play. So he's a really interesting player and obviously powerful. But is he going to develop a pass rush? What kind of player is he going to be? But as like a big 5 technique, and then Michael Williams could play that same kind of 5 technique role, even though they're 40 pounds different, or I don't know, 60 pounds different. I'm not even sure. But his length and his power as a run defender, I can see some 5-man line working for these 49ers the way they're constructed.
At least they'll have one-on-one pass rush. It won't be 4 against 5, but it's one of the things that Solly has the background in, because he was in Seattle with Pete, and it's pretty much the same thing. And they'll play three deep behind him, and that could be that savior against the Carolina Panthers. I definitely would come out and show it and run it some and give them something to think about.
Yeah, and hopefully if the Panthers get down there in the red zone, they make some similar decisions to the Seahawks deciding to throw the ball at the 1-yard line instead of using Marshawn to run it in. I think we would all appreciate some Bryce Young passes from the 1-yard line that get picked off. But I digress. The Niners, I think, are going to have a relatively tough time trying to stop this rushing attack. I really do, because when you look around this this team right now, I mean, it just gets worse and worse every week. Now you got Tatum Bethune sidelined for probably a couple weeks with a high ankle sprain, and the one I think kind of interesting thing about that linebacking core, and it's something that we talked about a lot last week as well, finally got to see Nick Martin in some action. We finally got to see him on the field a little bit on Sunday. We talked a little bit about that on Sunday's show, but Brian, you obviously weren't with us then. So I'm curious, what did you see from Nick Martin on Sunday? And do you think that he can play a big factor in stopping this Panthers run game on Monday Night Football?
Well, there's a couple of things. One, you saw the entire scouting report, even though it was only 14 snaps that he played, is he's not the biggest guy, but he can absolutely fly to the football. Mm-hmm. On that big Bam Knight run that was called back, he was kind of the edge defender there, and he was blocked up. And I don't think Pharaoh Brown, the tight end, needed to hold him and needed to bear hug him, because I think he was blocked up. And that's kind of the problem, is he fits so well at the will spot and the weak side linebacker spot. I don't know if he's cut out for the strong side backer spot. And if you can get those blocks, taken up in front of him and let him fly to the football, I think he'll be awesome. And he had 7 tackles in 14 snaps. You know what I mean? Like,
say that same thing.
And he flashes and he shows up. He will arrive to the ball carrier, but I don't know if he's a point of attack player. So you kind of have to protect him a little bit in that regard because of his size. And so, and the biggest part of it, and probably the reason we haven't seen him on the field, is in the passing game. And just because you're fast and athletic doesn't mean you're going to be good in coverage. Is he taking drops at the right depth? Is he in the right place? And can Robert Saleh trust him on third downs in the passing game too? Because I think he might be able to be a decent blitzer, and he was a good blitzer in college. He had as many sacks he had more sacks in 1 year than Alfred Collins and CJ West had combined in their college careers. So he could be a blitzer and be a weapon potentially, but is he going to be in the right place in the passing game? And that's generally the reason why you don't see rookies on the field.
Yeah, I mean, this is a 49er linebacker group that is expected to cover a lot. I mean, the 49ers use their linebackers in pass coverage quite a bit. So it'll be interesting to see what they do at that linebacker spot. I mean, you had Curtis Robinson playing a lot of snaps, which does not inspire me a whole lot. That's a guy, he's a special teams player, and I think that's where he should be. He's a pretty decent special teams player, but I don't want him being the every down linebacker for the 49ers, but they might not have a choice, man. I mean, they are so thin in that position group right now. And it just, every week you are reminded how much you miss Fred Warner when you watch this 49ers defense play football. It is so apparent that, I mean, Nick Bosa too, don't get me wrong, but Fred Warner missing from this football team is really just the crux of everything they want to do defensively. And obviously the guy who wears the green dot and is the emotional leader for the defensive side of the ball as well. It can't be overstated how much the 49ers miss Fred Warner right now. But we've been talking a lot about these injuries, and there's another injury that surfaced at a position that is just been a giant pain in the you-know-what for the 49ers the last few years. Eddie Pinheiro, questionable. I think he pulled that hamstring, and he's considered week to week, but I mean, we shouldn't speculate on what play it happened on, but it did look like he came up a little bit slow when I think it was the extra point where he went and picked up the ball after it got blocked away and tried to make something out of it, and just it didn't. He kind of went down a little awkwardly on that play. The 49ers did something absolutely hilarious because of that, and we're going to tell you about it on the other side of the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Don't go anywhere.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it, because it also helps you correct your form in real time, and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, joined by my guys, Dwayne Board, 4-time Super Bowl champion for the San Francisco 49ers, and three with the Niners and one with a team that we don't need to mention. And then we also got Brian Peacock, host of the Locked On 49ers podcast. And the 49ers guys did one of the most hilarious things that I have seen happen this NFL season. And of course, we all remember a guy by the name of Jake Moody. And the 49ers, in need of a kicker, they before everyone has a heart attack, they did not go back and sign Jake Moody. But they did go sign a guy that was just cut by a team that signed Jake Moody to replace him. The 49ers went and picked up Matt Gay, who was just cut by the Washington Commanders after they decided to move on from him for Jake Moody. And that should tell you about all you need to know of the season that Matt Gay has had so far. He is 13 of 19 on field goal attempts this season. That is not good, folks. But throughout his career, he's made 84% of his kicks, according to David Lombardi of the San Francisco Standard, and he was above 90% in his field goal tries for the Rams in 2021 and 2022. So maybe this is a guy who's still got a little bit left in the tank and can give you something. Maybe he can tap into some of what he showed last time he was in the NFC West, but. Man, the last thing this team needs is questionable kickers at this point, because, I mean, it didn't really come back to bite him against the Cardinals, but, some missed extra points and just some weirdness with that 49ers kicking unit in that game against the Cardinals. And if this game is close, which I do think this game is going to be pretty close between the 49ers and the Panthers, and if it comes down to a field goal, Matt Gay is running out there to kick it, how are you feeling about him? What's your confidence level in Matt Gay, Brian?
Oh, my confidence level was not super high. It was such a stabilizing force to have Eddie Pinheiro, and it just felt like everything's going to go through. I think the first kick is such a big deal, and I don't know what went into these tryouts of the last 2 days for the 49ers to choose Matt Gay. But he's a veteran kicker. He's made a lot of kicks, and I wonder if that was part of it, knowing that they're going to have a primetime game, Monday Night Football. It's a pretty big stage. Did they want to have a guy who's got the most experience to be the kicker while Eddie Pinheiro's out and to be a kicker on Monday Night Football? But I think for nerves and expectations, seeing the first one go through is probably pretty big for both the kicker and the fans that will be in attendance watching that game. So just get the first one through. I think everybody can settle down, and you hope it doesn't come down to a field goal anyway.
Yeah, and I mean it's just been a saga with these kickers, man. And it kind of like I know that he's probably enjoying his retirement right now, kicking his feet up. But every time that I have watched Jake Moody miss a kick, or every time that the 49ers have had an injury at kicker and they've needed to go pull someone off the scrap heap, I just keep sitting here thinking, why the hell didn't they pay Robbie Gould? Why didn't they just pay Robbie Gould? And I know he was asking for too much money. I understand. And he was he didn't have the biggest leg in the world. And a lot of 49ers fans were not super happy that you had a kicker who wouldn't even try to attempt a 50+ yard field goal in today's NFL. That's kind of expected, I feel like, out of your kicker. But man, Dwayne, you got to be sitting here missing Robbie Gould a little bit, right? Like just a little bit.
A little bit. They're missing them a lot. Hey, you can't find a kicker today off this late in the season. All of them are on a team right now. So when you got to come and get the best you can find, and that's what they did. They went out and got Matt Gay, and I'm sure nobody had him on the fantasy team.
By the way, Adam Peters, new GM of the Washington Commanders, former assistant GM of the 49ers, I think he might be making some mistakes over there trying to double down on his priors, right? Bringing in all the guys that he's had before. When a player shows you who they are, I think you have to start to believe it. And so I don't know about, cutting a veteran kicker and bringing in a guy who was as dicey as Jake Moody. And I don't know, maybe there's something that Jake Moody has figured out, and he's going to be better in this stint with Adam Peters and the Commanders. But he was obviously around when they drafted Jake Moody, and he brought in Deebo Samuel, who's done well for the Commanders. That one's worked. Kinlaw kind of has, we know what Kinlaw is as well. I think Adam Peters is going to have to make his own path. And I don't know if ex-49ers is the way that he should be building that thing, especially guys that are cast off that the 49ers don't even want a part of anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the 49ers would have even, I mean, I hope that they would not have looked at Jake Moody if he was an option available.
It would have been hilarious if they brought Moody back. That would have been funny because they do like to sometimes go to the familiar player, but I can't imagine that call would have been made.
I think you would have seen a literal protest outside of Levi's Stadium if that had happened on Monday night. But the 49ers did work out 4 other kickers aside from Matt Gay. They also worked out Cade York, who last played with the Bengals. They worked out Anders Carlson, Tanner Brown, and John Parker Romo. So it wasn't like he was the only guy they brought in. They did have like an actual competition. What that competition looked like or consisted of, I'm not really sure, but they saw something from Matt Gay and decided that this is the guy they're going to go with. So you got Matt Gay, and we'll see how that goes. But ultimately, I think that you really don't want this game to come down to a field goal. I think if it does, that means that the game is going the way the Panthers want it to go, not the way the 49ers want it to go. I see if this is a low-scoring game, I think the Panthers win. I think the Panthers, if they can play ball control, if they can run the ball and keep possession of the rock and score a touchdown or 2 on the ground, and Bryce Young doesn't have to throw the ball more than 30 times, I think that's a recipe for a 49ers loss. But if the 49ers are able to dial up that offensive passing attack and rushing attack, especially the way that they were against the Arizona Cardinals, I think that you'll have some positive results there. I think that the 49ers need to have their offense carry their defense in this one. And if it's a higher scoring game, I like the 49ers in that. So I think that you're hoping for a shootout if you're a 49ers fan, because I think that you'd lean Brock Purdy over Bryce Young in a shootout, especially. And even though the 49ers pass catching group has been very banged up this year and has not been, the most explosive group, they're healthier than they've been at any point in the season right now. And overall, I would probably take this 49ers pass catching group over the Panthers pass catching group right now, even though McMillan is probably the best, outside the numbers wide receiver that we're going to see in this game. I'm still taking George Kittle and I guess Christian McCaffrey as the 49ers 2 best pass catchers. Brian, what are you feeling that the 49ers are going to need to do to win this game offensively?
Offensively, it would be very nice to run the football. I think anytime Kyle Shanahan's offenses are able to run the football, stay in front of the sticks, and you start to create longer drives, and I think it settles down everything. It allows the defense to play its game. It allows the offense to come to them. They can have more of the playbook. I think the defenses have to respect run and pass at all times. I think that's all really important. And I was looking at the numbers, and my guy Julian Council, who's the host of Locked On Panthers, we just recorded our Thursday crossover episode for this week, and he talked about yards after contact, and I started to look at the numbers a little bit more, and looking at Rico Dowdle, looking at Christian McCaffrey, and I was a little bit surprised how bad Christian McCaffrey's numbers are. Like all of he's been a volume player this year for the 49ers, and he's got the most carries in the entire NFL, but he's only 13th in rushing yards. He's well down the list of running backs with 100 carries. He's at the bottom in yards per carry. He's at the bottom in the bottom few in yards per carry, in the bottom 2 in yards after contact. And you look at Rico Dowdle, and he's top 5 yards per carry. He's 5 yards per carry. He's the 4th leading rusher in the NFL right now. He's top 5 in yards after contact as well. So it's insane to say, and it's not, I would never make the statement that the 49ers would trade Christian McCaffrey for Rico Dowdle, but it's crazy that you start looking at the numbers, and the Panthers are the team that traded Christian McCaffrey away. They've had the better running back this year as far as the numbers go. And obviously Christian McCaffrey does everything he does in the passing game as well, but it's pretty amazing what the Panthers have done on the ground with Rico Dowdle when they're going to go play against the guy for the first time that they traded away, who's been, one of the better running backs in the NFL.
Yeah, that leads me to the next point, which is the Christian McCaffrey revenge game that's on deck. And he's got to feel some type of way, right? Like just because of what you've said right there, like his former team is outperforming him on the ground with a guy who the Panthers essentially picked up off the scrap heap from the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, Rico Dowdle had every opportunity to earn the Dallas Cowboys starting running back job last season and couldn't do it, couldn't hang on to the role. And now he's found a spot in Carolina where he looks very, very, very comfortable. And as you said, Brian, the fourth leading rusher in the NFL. And this is a guy who didn't come into the season as the starting player at that position. He has had an exceptional year. I believe he had a game of over 200 yards, or at least close to 200 yards at one point this year. And let me see. He had 200 rushing yards against the Miami Dolphins. He had 206 yards on 23 carries. And then the very next week came back for a $183 against that Dallas Cowboys defense, which nice revenge game for Rico. He also has no fumbles. He hasn't lost a fumble this year. He's fumbled the ball once in that game against Dallas, but the Panthers were able to get that one back. So we'll see what happens with the 49ers against the Panthers. But one thing that I think you're going to need to do is come up with some turnovers in this one. That was a big part of the 49ers beating the Arizona Cardinals, along with the most penalties or most penalty yards that the Cardinals have earned themselves since 1930 something. I mean, the Cardinals were just constantly shooting themselves in the foot, and not just once or twice. It was like they had like a fully automatic rifle just unloading clips into their own feet because they could not get out of their own way against the 49ers last weekend. I do not expect the Panthers to have 17 penalties for, almost 130 yards worth of penalty yardage that the Cardinals gave to the 49ers. It's going to be really interesting to see if the 49ers defense can kind of get by without all those things going on when they play the Panthers. So we'll see. It's going to be, I think, like I said, a close matchup between these two teams. If you don't know the Carolina Panthers this season, you should bone up on your Panthers knowledge, because this is a better than advertised team. And it's a team that's full of a lot of young players that are every week, I think, getting a little bit better. Bryce Young has had a much better overall season than he did last year, even though the numbers are a little bit down still pass yardage per game wise. If you watch what he's doing on the field, he's utilizing his legs more effectively. He's not panicking and pulling the ball down after his first read isn't there. He's making his way through his progressions, and he looks like an NFL quarterback at this point. He's in the 49ers throughout their last few years have struggled with some of these mobile quarterbacks. So Brian, we lost Dwayne for a minute. We'll see if we can get him back. But Brian, containing Bryce Young and his mobility, how do you think the 49ers defense is going to stack up against that?
Yeah, and I think contain is the word. You already know the 49ers are probably not going to create a bunch of pressure. So if you're not going to pressure the quarterback, what's the next best thing you can do, especially for a guy who can get out and make plays on the move? It's keep him in the pocket. And so let that pocket collapse around him and things get tight in there and make him stay there and make big boy throws from the pocket in a place where he might not be able to see. Alfred Collins get those big old arms up in the air and bat balls down and make it hard for him to see, hard for him to play from the pocket, I think is really the way to go about it, because the 49ers are just not a team that's going to create a lot of pressure right now. And maybe you throw some blitzes at him and more exotic stuff to confuse him as well as a young quarterback. And, and I think it'll help to stop the run and get him in some deeper third down situations more often, make him throw from behind and kind of make them one dimensional would be really important for the 49ers. And that kind of lends itself to the offense. Right. And the offense scoring a bunch of points to allow the defense to play the type of game that makes it a lot easier, like it was last week against the Arizona Cardinals. So it's a team effort. Keep him contained and score a bunch of points.
Yeah, score a bunch of points is the biggest key for this one for sure. But, Bryce Young is not the tallest guy in the world, 5'10". And like you said, the 49ers got some behemoths on the interior of that line. And because he is, fleet-footed, I do think that this is maybe a game where and maybe this is just me trying to find the silver lining in this, because the 49ers defense is very banged up and the pass rush is pretty much non-existent, as we've been talking about today in pretty much every show for this entire season. But if there's one guy that maybe trying to chase him down and get him on the ground, it might not work super well against, this might be the guy where you can just kind of squeeze that pocket around him, worry more about edge contain rather than an edge rush. and just try and get a paw up there. Try and bat some passes down at the line of scrimmage. I think the 49ers can maybe find some success with that, with the 5'10" Bryce Young and the absolutely massive arms of a CJ West or a Alfred Collins on the interior. I think that the 49ers, I'm sure Robert Saleh is telling all these guys in practice this week to work on, if you can't get there, put yourself in a position to clog up a passing lane and get a paw up there and bat a ball down. So I'm looking for a couple swatted passes at the line of scrimmage for the 49ers if they want to be able to kind of slow this Carolina passing attack down. And that leads me to the one last big key of this Panthers offense, which is Teteroa McMillan. This guy was a very high draft pick for the Panthers. Was he the first wide receiver taken in this draft?
It depends on if you count Travis Hunter as a wide receiver at number 2,
right,
and Tet went number, was it 7 or 8, right? 8,
yeah. So I mean, that Travis Hunter, I feel like in my mind, I expected him to be more of a corner coming into the league, but the Jags have used him more as an offensive player so far this season. Well, before he got hurt, but Teteroa McMillan, a very, very, very good player, and you see that he hasn't quite had that like big breakout game yet, but he has been consistent every single game so far. He has produced at least something. He's given the Panthers like something to hang your hat on a little bit. He's only got 200-yard games. I guess last week you could say was his coming out party against the Falcons, because he did have $130 and 2 touchdowns. But you look at the rest of his season, he only has one other game of 100 yards plus, and that is against the Arizona Cardinals when he hauled in 6 receptions for exactly 100 yards. But this is a guy, 13.9 yard per catch average, and he's got 4 touchdowns across the season. I mean, he's a guy who can take the top off a little bit. And as you said earlier, he's a guy that the Panthers will move around inside, outside. What do you think the 49ers can do to slow him down?
He's probably the type of guy you want to bracket and make sure you have a safety over the top, especially because if it's a one-on-one situation, he's the type of receiver where it's like, if it's one-on-one, you throw it up and you let your guy make a play. And one of the big things here, like kind of getting into the psychology of it all, the Panthers probably are feeling themselves a little bit right now. And both Bryce Young and Teteroa McMillan coming off their best games as professionals, and there's probably a lot of confidence. And I think coming out hot and being strong early for the 49ers is pretty important, right? Don't let that confidence grow. And if they start making plays early in the game, that's probably not a good sign for the 49ers in this one, because they have some confidence right now. And it probably is very helpful for a young quarterback to really feel comfortable and confident that he has that true number 1 guy that he can throw to even when he's covered. And he hasn't, Bryce Young hasn't really had that previously. So it's fascinating. I can't wait to see Teteroa McMillan up close a little bit. And he's kind of a matchup problem just because he's a good route runner and also big. A lot of the big guys are a little more one-dimensional, but he can get open. He can make plays on the ball. And we've seen the 49ers give up some plays even when the coverage is pretty tight, whether it's, the 5'8" Upton Stout or Renardo Green has been tested. As good of a player as Diamador Lenore is, teams aren't necessarily afraid throwing in his direction either. So the Niners defense is going to get tested by Teteroa McMillan. You probably be smart to have a guy over the top.
Yeah, we talked about the Diamador Lenore, Jekyll and Hyde a little bit with Crocky on Sunday's show, because yes, he did come up with that big pick and that big return, but the play, I mean, immediately preceding that, he got absolutely cooked on the outside, and that did not look very good if you're a 49ers fan. So I think it's a matchup problem. Dude is 6'5". Like, I don't think the 49ers have anybody in the secondary who can match up well against a big receiver like that. I mean, you don't really have anybody to go and lay the lumber. I mean, you don't have that big hitter in the secondary, maybe Malik Mustafa, but you don't have a whole lot of guys who are going to be able to one-on-one match up with a guy who's 6'5" and 212 and can break off any route. I mean, it seems like he's got one of the best route trees of any receiver in football, not just rookie-wise. But, man, I'm sitting here. I just pulled up the NFL leaders for receiving yardage in 2025. Did you know Teteroa McMillan is number 6 in receiving yards on the season in the NFL? Like, this guy's got more receiving yards than Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's got more receiving yards than Justin Jefferson. Like, this is a legit number one wide receiver for the Panthers, and I think it's going to be a problem trying to slow him down, man. I mean, there's the only guys who have more receiving yards than him this season are Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's having, just the best season in the NFL right now at the wide receiver position, and George Pickens, who's having also a hell of a year out there in Dallas. Jamar Chase, who is the consensus number one overall pick in damn near every fantasy draft, and Puka Nacua and Drake London, who are both a part of definitive number ones in their respective offenses and get a large target share. Teteroa McMillan only has 54 receptions, by the way, and all of those guys I just mentioned have at least 60 plus. So it's going to be tough for the 49ers to slow this guy down. I think that he's a huge matchup problem for them, and that's going to be the two biggest points for the 49ers defense to focus on are slowing this guy down, slowing down the rushing attack. And I think it's going to be a little tough to contain these guys based on what we've seen from the 49ers defense. If you had to look into your crystal ball and estimate how many points do you think the Panthers are going to score this week, what would you throw out there?
Well, they haven't been a powerhouse offense, and generally when their offense has been flowing, aside from last week, it's been on the ground. And you talk about some of the games they've won, and it's like 19-16, and some of those they've beaten up on the Falcons a couple of times and gotten to 30 points. But the Falcons, we know their defense actually isn't that good, and they're actually not a very good football team compared to what we thought they were going to be coming into the year. So I don't know how impressive necessarily their resume is right now, the Panthers. That's why I'm still skeptical, and I can't wait to see what they actually look like up close here this week. And guarding Tet, by the way, the 49ers, do they have anybody in the secondary over 6 feet tall? Like Renardo Green's maybe right at 6 feet or a little bit less, but he's not necessarily a power player either. And so they just don't match up great as far as how is everybody's shaped. But you got to make them feel you. So I want to see a big like Malik Mustafa hit. Even if he is making catches, make him feel those catches and less likely to go up and put his open up his ribs to Malik Mustafa in the passing game.
Got to make him feel you, like our guy Ronnie Lott used to say. Dwayne can tell us all about that, man. We got Dwayne back now. But Dwayne, we were just talking about the 49ers trying to slow down Teteroa McMillan. And this is a guy who's 6'5", runs a lot of really, really good routes. He's the sixth leading yardage-wise receiver in the NFL this year, which I personally did not realize until about 5 minutes ago. I know he was having a great year out there, but I did not realize that he was literally like a top 6 wide receiver in the NFL this year. And Dwayne, I'm curious, how would you go about stopping a guy who is 6'5" and can win almost every individual matchup on the outside, and he can move all around the field, inside, outside, coming out of the slot, outside the numbers, and he can run pretty much any route out there. He's not just a big body target. He's a guy who can actually snap off a nice in-breaking route or a comeback or an out route. Or, I mean, he's not just a guy that they're sending deep and saying, we're going to try and moss you all the time. So how would you, if you're a 49ers secondary, which is a little undersized, how would you go about stopping this guy who's 6'5"?
Well, you're going to have to bracket him. You got to double him. And the guy who your best guy that can jam, I would put him on him. Okay, because you got to get hands on a big receiver. And when the guy catch the ball, hey, you got to go down and hit him where you don't like. You got to take him from the knees down. So you got to play to hurt him. You can't just let him, go down there and try to tackle him up high, because he's going to make you look bad. That's the way you take care of those big guys, because once you start taking them around the knees when they catch the ball, you don't want to be up hitting them in the chest where you can bounce off of them like a flea hitting the windshield. But they got the hands for him. And if you have to bracket the guy, you got to double him.
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers, Brian, to your point, what you were just discussing, Renardo Green listed at 6 feet tall. Maybe that's measuring with cleats on, standing on cement and a helmet.
5'11" and a half things, and you get the benefit.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you look at other guys in the secondary too, like Jason Pinnock, also listed at 6 feet tall. Marquise Siegel, also listed at 6 feet tall. That's kind of where it stops. I mean, Saran Neal, also listed at 6 feet tall. But I got some serious questions about 5'10" Diamador Lenore trying to cover him, and or if he gets moved to the inside. 5'9" and 181-pound Upton Stout, who's given up damn near 40 pounds and a half a foot plus to this guy.
5'8" and a half. 5'8" and a half of the Stout, you mean?
Yeah, that's going to be an impossible cover. I mean, like you said, Brian, I think you need to go and try and have someone go lay the lumber if they're trying those routes over the middle, any of that funny business. I need Malik Mustafa to go and put his shoulder right into Teteroa McMillan's ribs. That's what I need to see.
You look at him; he's the DK Metcalf. Okay, and that's what they had up in Seattle when Dave was up there, and you gotta be able to. And you got to be able to handle him, but and plus you don't have a corner that can get in his head and talk to him. And
Demo will talk a little bit. I kind of like that, even though he's undersized from a height disadvantage standpoint. I kind of like Demo being on Teteroa McMillan a little bit and being feisty with him, being competitive with him. But if you look at it from the other side though, and you're Dave Canales and you're conducting that offense, you're looking for number 20. You're going to target the rookie, and we've seen a lot of teams go after Upton Stout in the pass game, and maybe they'll try to go with some big personnel, and then in that case, you try to target Luke Gifford, and that's kind of been what teams have been doing against the 49ers. Is you're going to test the rookie, and especially if you got such a size advantage, you're going to move him inside and see if you can exploit that matchup.
Yeah, you saw it last week, and with. As Eric says, a no-name Stanford receiver was. What did he go for? $150 last week? $180?
180 yards and 15 receptions for Michael Wilson, who never once was a wide receiver one at Stanford or in the NFL ever before, and he just had the game of his life against this 49ers defense.
Michael Wilson disrespect. Come on, guys.
Hey, I mean, I do work with the Stanford radio team, and so I've seen a lot of Stanford guys that generally do try to root for them in the NFL. But obviously, last week I was not rooting for a Michael Wilson career game against the 49ers. But I don't think any of us foresaw 47 completions from Jacoby Brissett. That's absolutely insane, and that does kind of pose it makes me feel a little uncomfy, you know what I mean? Because it's two teams going in two different directions in these units right now. It's the Panthers ascending with Bryce Young and Teteroa McMillan coming off their best games as NFL players, and it's the 49ers pass defense that even though they got some turnovers, those turnovers were huge that they got against the Cardinals, but overall, when they weren't picking the ball off, they did not look very good against Jacoby Brissett and the Arizona Cardinals, who had Trey McBride and a bunch of nobodies running around out there. And Jacoby Brissett, man, this guy, we've talked about guys in the past who maybe once you get onto your, 6th, 7th, 8th team, maybe it's time to hang it up. Jacoby Brissett is absolutely one of those guys who just seems like he's been the journeyman who's just been around forever and has never really stuck anywhere because he's a backup quarterback in this league. He's not a starting caliber quarterback. Granted, he is I think a better than average backup quarterback, but he's not a guy that you're going to expect to throw for 47 completions and set an NFL record. And now you got a guy in Bryce Young, who's a former number 1 overall pick. He's got a ton of talent, and he is, like you said, Brian, kind of feeling himself a little bit right now with a legit number 1 target in Teteroa McMillan. So I do think that this is going to be a little bit of a hard stop for the San Francisco 49ers. Let's take a quick break here. On the other side, we got more to get into. The big game on Monday Night Football in prime time for the 49ers coming up. 49ers, Panthers, 5:15 kick on ESPN on Monday night. We'll break it down a little bit more on the other side here on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, joined by Brian Peacock, host of the, I almost called Brian the 4-time Super Bowl champion. I'm sure Brian would love 4 Super Bowl championships, but that's Dwayne Board who's got the 4 Super Bowl championships.
A little short of 4.
Maybe 4 Super Bowl championships in the latest edition of Madden. You know what I mean? Are you a Madden guy, Brian? Are you a gamer?
I retired from Madden in about 2014, I think it was, when the NCAA game kind of stopped, and I loved the draft process. And you play some college, and then you go and import draft classes and Madden. That was kind of fun, and I kind of stopped at that point. But if we want to start counting slow pitch softball championships.
I now since you brought it up, I gotta brag too. My slow pitch softball team did win the San Francisco Open D championship in over the summer. So that was pretty cool, man. Pretty cool moment.
What's the team name? Shout out.
The Hobbin Expos. The Hobbin Expos. And our pitcher is a big Expos guy. He was a big Expos fan growing up. So play on the word habaneros, Hobbin Expos.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
We're funny, you know what I mean? Haha.
A little stretch there on the habanero part, but that's the Expos reference for sure.
Yeah. Regardless, the 49ers hoping to outside shot, but maybe make a championship run this year. They're not dead in the water. It's still the middle of the season. The 49ers still sitting here with a record of 7-5. And this team is, they're in a decent spot. They could be in a better spot, 7-4, excuse me, not 7-5. And they'll be playing the Panthers on Monday Night Football. And hopefully that, what I just said, 7-5, isn't just a prediction of what's going to happen. But let's get into those predictions. Brian, what do you foresee in your crystal ball for this final result on Monday Night Football?
Well, the bad news is the way things have been going for the 49ers is they win one, they lose one. And they'll have a big win one week, and you think, okay, this team's playing some good football right now, and you're feeling good about it. And then the next week, it's like, man, this team just has lost too many pieces, and this game was a struggle. And while they showed fight, they were a little bit undermanned. I don't know if I see the loss here, but the 49ers are favored by 7 at home. And we talked about how the Panthers are a team that covers. So I like it. I like the 49ers to win, but I don't think it's going to be by a touchdown. I like a 3 or 4 point victory for the 49ers. The Panthers cover the number, but the 49ers do come home with the win. It's a really big game. And again, NFC playoff implications here. It's an important one. And this is the Super Bowl for the Carolina Panthers. They've not had important football games like this. Primetime, Monday Night Football, they're going to be up for it. This is the biggest game that many Carolina Panthers players have ever played in the NFL, and a bigger game than their fans have had since Cam Newton was quarterbacking a Super Bowl team, right?
Yeah. I mean,
it's irrelevant since then.
Since Christian McCaffrey was a Carolina Panther, it's been a while, man. And if you're looking at the standings in the NFC right now, the 49ers are the last playoff team sneaking in to the final wild card spot, right on their heels. Carolina Panthers and the Detroit Lions. If the Panthers win this game, the 49ers and the Panthers will have the same record. So you don't want to lose this one. You don't want to be, down on the head-to-head matchup versus a team that you could need a tiebreaker against going into the playoffs. I mean, you very well could end up with the same record as the Carolina Panthers if you are the San Francisco 49ers. So huge game for the Panthers. And you know that they're going to get up for this one. You know that they're going to be prepared and ready and looking to cause some damage and build on what they did last week against the Falcons. And I meant to bring this up earlier when we were talking about those couple 30-point performances that the Panthers have had. As you said, 2 of them came against the Falcons. One of them also came against the Cowboys, which is, as we know, not a very good defensive unit. So I'm hoping the 49ers defensive unit is better than the Falcons and better than the Cowboys and able to hold them under 30. And I think that would spell a win for the 49ers in this one. And Dwayne, How are you feeling about this one? Now Brian's looked into his crystal ball. We gotta tap into Dwayne's, like foresight into the future. What are you seeing on Monday Night Football?
Well, to me, it's quarterback against quarterback. Which quarterback would you take? Right now, I would take Purdy against Bryce Young in the day of the week, who has big game experience. And the thing that goes back to the 49ers has to score more points, because you can't just put it in the defensive hands like it is normally has been, because the 49ers got so many injuries now. They can't keep up on defense, but it's time for the offense to show up. And if you get those stars aligned, you got Ricky, who wasn't even in the game playing last week, which I'm pretty sure that going into last week that Shanahan probably said, well, we're not sure if he's going to be ready to go. So they probably didn't game plan with him being ready to play. It was probably a last minute thing. Okay. So now you got Ricky, and hopefully they game plan him. And we know what Kittle can do. And last week, what helped a lot was they had the 21 personnel out there and some 12 personnel. So they went heavy, and that helped the play action. And we know who's the best play action quarterback is of the two is Purdy. So that's going to be a big key in the game, is how well can they get the running game going and get the play action going and get the other guy involved in the offense. Because who has the most weapons? When you get, hey, George Kittle, that guy, man, he's the heart and soul of that offense right now. And if the rest of the guys jump on board with him, they got a chance. But going to that 7-point thing, I don't think it's going to be a 7-point game. I think it's going to be closer than that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this one probably comes down to about a field goal, 3 or 4 points. I think we're all kind of in unison on that. Which kind of circles back to the Matt Gay thing. Is we got to make sure that
Matt Gay for the win. It's going to happen. It has to happen.
Man, it couldn't be any other way if you're a 49ers fan, right? It feels like the everyone talking about the San Francisco Giants. The motto for Giants baseball for my entire lifetime has been Giants baseball, torture. And it seems like San Francisco 49er football has been a little bit of torture this year, with how many games keep coming down close to the wire and trying to put your faith in kickers that sometimes you just don't really believe in, like Jake Moody. And now you got a guy in Matt Gay that you're going to have to rely on Sunday in what will probably be a very close game. And this is a guy who, like we said, has not played very well this year, 13 of 19 on his field goal attempts in 2025. But I do think that Ricky Pearsall should be a little bit more involved in the game this week than he was last week. He was essentially just a decoy last week. He was targeted, I think, 3 times. He had a reception for 0 yards. So really a non-factor. And I do expect him to be more involved this week. And I think that bodes well for Brock. I think that bodes well for the 49ers offense. And I think that they're going to score some points. I think that the 49ers eclipse I think they score probably 3 or 4 touchdowns in this one. I don't know if they pass the 30-point mark, but I definitely think they get above 20, which I think will be enough for a win against this Panthers team. As long as the Panthers defense doesn't slow down what Brock wants to do, which is kind of get outside the pocket, use that play action, utilize those legs. And he did look a lot healthier. Like, this is something that we talked about a lot coming into Brock Purdy coming off the injury list, because he did not look very, very nimble against the Jaguars when the 49ers brought him back last time. Looked a lot better in last week's game against the Cardinals as far as his mobility, his ability to plant and throw. I mean, he looked like himself. He did not look like whatever version of Brock we saw against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which was not very good. So another week healthier for Ricky Pearsall, hopefully, and hopefully that bodes well for this 49ers offense. I do think the 49ers are going to edge out a win in this one. I'll go out on a limb here, say 27 to let's say 24, 27-24. I think the 49ers win. So we'll see what happens on Monday night. We got one more break here. We'll be right back, and we'll put a bow on this show, send you all on your way to what will hopefully be a nice rest of the week before the 49ers are able to take on the Panthers and win, hopefully, on Monday Night Football. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, joined by my guys, Brian Peacock, host of the Locked On 49ers podcast, and four-time Super Bowl champion, Dwayne Board. And guys, hopefully the 49ers can win this game. But if they don't, their playoff picture, their playoff hopes look a little bleak, man, because coming up after the Panthers, you got the Browns and the Titans, which I think the 49ers should win those games. They will definitely be favored in those games. But then you got the Bears and the Seahawks to wrap up this season. I think you're going to need to win 3 more football games. I do not want to have the 49ers trying to win one of those 3 against the Colts, the Bears, or the Seahawks. That's not a very good slate to end the season on if you're a 49ers fan. The Colts have been probably the biggest surprise of the maybe the Bears have been the biggest. I mean, both these teams, the Patriots too. A lot of really surprised good teams this year in the NFL, but 49ers got 2 of them on their roster or on their schedule heading into the final weeks of this season. I think this isn't a must win, but it's about as close as you can get to a must win in week 12. Are you feeling the same way, Brian?
You don't want, I think it's more compelling and more fun to go down to the wire and have to win to get in against the Seahawks in week 18. I think that would be really fun, especially if it was like whoever wins, it's a playoff game essentially, and whoever wins is in, whoever loses is out. That would be an exciting game and it would be fun. I don't think the 49ers want that to be the path, though, right? I think the Panthers game is second to the Chicago Bears game as far as the biggest difference, a percentage chance to make the playoffs, win or lose in that game. The Bears week 17 is the biggest game on the schedule for the 49ers. And if you tell me right now they win the Bears game, Niners are a playoff team, right? And I know they're going to win at least 2 games aside from that one. Can they get to 10 wins? That's the question. It'd be real nice if they just got those 10 wins before they even face those final 3 teams. And that's the toughest schedule in the league for the final 3 games of the season. Is the 49ers schedule against the Colts, the Bears, and the Seahawks, but they have the easiest schedule in the entire NFL for these next 3 games against the Panthers and the Browns and the Titans. Although the Browns isn't a gimme game because of how well that scheme kind of plays against Kyle Shanahan. And so it's kind of been a nemesis team for Kyle and the 49ers. But if you can't beat the Titans, you don't deserve to be a playoff team anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all in agreement on that. But I agree with you against the Browns. The Browns kind of make me nervous, even though their record is not pretty. That defense is legit. It's if they can find some lightning in a bottle with Shedeur Sanders, who's going to make his first start in the NFL this week. If the Browns offense starts scoring points, you don't want to see that if you're the 49ers with going to Cleveland in what could be a bad weather game at the end of this month. That just makes me a little nervous, man. Dwayne, same question to you. Do you think that this is a must win? Would you consider this week against the Panthers a must win for the 49ers?
Well, I look at it like this, okay? Those 3 games that's coming up. Those are the Black Friday games, so they can get their shopping in early because once they get into December, then hey, all those games are you getting a Christmas gift or you gotta talk to Santa, man, because those are 3 hard games. So you better get those Black Friday games in right now.
You don't want to be shopping on Christmas Eve like I do every Christmas. Get it in early. Do it in November.
Yeah, you don't want to be Arnold Schwarzenegger from one of my favorite Christmas movies growing up when I was a kid, Turbo Man, who had to go in and dress up as Turbo Man and play him in the parade in order to acquire the Turbo Man action figure to give to his son on Christmas. Which, if you haven't seen that movie, Jingle All the Way, you should absolutely go check out Jingle All the Way. Great, phenomenal Christmas movie. But the 49ers. Absolutely, I think I'm in agreement with you guys. I don't think you can really call any game in week 12 a must win, but this is about as close as it gets, man. Because if you lose this one, you have to win against either the Colts, the Bears, or the Seahawks. Which hopefully they do win one of those games. Because say they do win this game against the Panthers, say they beat the Browns, say they beat the Titans. You don't want to drop all 3 games going into the postseason, all 3 prior games. You don't want to go into the postseason on a 3-game losing skid. That would be a not great situation for the 49ers. But I definitely, Brian, we got different opinions on what's considered fun, because I definitely would not think that a winner go home game against the Seattle Seahawks in the final week of the season, I mean, entertaining, yes. Fun? Oh, no way, man. I'm going to be having heart palpitations for 3 to 4 hours, or maybe all day leading up to that game prior, because just, man, what a stressful pressure cooker situation. Just not really my idea of fun, but hey, it's each their own. You know what I mean?
Dwayne, I don't think Eric's built for the rigors of the NFL, man.
No, he's not. Hey, Eric, you play hard, you got to live hard, okay? Right now, come on. You take the soft road.
and this is why I sit here and discuss football rather than going out there and playing it. You know what I mean? I'm not built different like you, Dwayne. I'm not going to be able to go sustain out there in a situation like that. Although I know you can. You've proven plenty of times that you can, and you have done it before. So you and Brian can be in lockstep with that being a fun situation, and I'll be in the corner, rocking myself into an anxiety attack watching the 49ers try and scramble against the Seahawks.
Look, that's why we win. That's why we lose our games early in the season on my slow pitch softball team, so we can have those gritty win and you're in performances late in the season. That's how I'm built.
There you go.
So you, when the bases are loaded and the game's on you and you at the plate, what do you do?
It's money. It's money every time. I hope it comes down to my at bat with 2 outs.
Yeah, I will say I do like being up in that position on my slow pitch softball team. It's a little bit different though in slow pitch softball. No one's trying to kill you out there. You got a nice easy lob to you, and you can kind of just place the ball wherever you want. You don't got to worry about anybody tearing your ACL or sending you to the concussion tent and putting you in protocol. You don't got to worry about any of that.
Right. Yeah. When someone's throwing underhand to you with a yellow neon ball, it's a lot different than if you're playing an NFL game or someone could throw 101 at your neck. It's definitely a different thing. Eric, what's your strategy at the plate? Are you like a spray hitter? You a bomber? You like to go oppo? What kind of game do you have?
So I try to just hit the ball hard, man. I grew up watching Barry Bonds, and Barry Bonds used to always say, if you're gonna swing hard. Just hit the ball hard somewhere, and good things will happen. And that's what I just try to do out there, man. I usually am a little bit of a pole hitter. If I could develop an oppo swing, which I can do it, but I got to have like a plan. I got to go into the box thinking I'm gonna do it. Otherwise, I have a really hard time adjusting mid pitch. But I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Hit it hard somewhere.
Just hit it hard somewhere. And hopefully the 49ers can go and hit somebody hard this weekend, man. I want to see someone go make Teteroa McMillan feel them out there and make him afraid to go over the middle and sky for some balls, because this is a big target for the Panthers, and he's going to be hard for the 49ers to slow down. We will see how they match up on Monday Night Football in primetime. That's all the time we got for you guys today here on the Locked On 49ers Squad show. Fun show, and hopefully on Monday we'll have a fun game that results in a 49ers win. We'll be coming to you live afterwards, as we always do here on the Locked On 49ers Squad show. Thanks so much to everyone for tuning in. Shout out all our everydayers. Make sure you're subscribed, however you're getting the show on whatever platform you partake in the 49ers Squad show. Make sure you're subscribed, and shout out everyone for making us your first listen for everything you need to know 49ers. That's all the time we got for you guys today. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, for Brian Peacock and Dwayne Board, my guys. We will see you next time. Peace.